What's up, you guys? Welcome into the stadium on this Thursday afternoon. This is the pilot, first episode, whatever you want to call it. This is the first live stream we're doing for our Fantasy Football League, the Stadium 2021 Fantasy Football League. 8 members of the stadium. We have Jonathan, me, Dave Mallow. We have Nick. I'm going to forget all the teams since I'm not looking at them. Let's go ahead and go right to it. We have Dave, me, Jonathan, Hunter, Dominic, Nick, Jordan, and Mike. All 8 guys are going to compete for bragging rights to see who will be the best for the year. And it started with our draft that happened last Saturday. And in that draft, we pulled 8 full teams, and we're going to get into those in just a minute. But we start with breaking news that affects one of our teams, Steel Curtain. That is Mike. I was just messaging him. He just got home from work. I think he probably threw up 2 or 3 times when he found out Gus Edwards, who was his... Gus Edwards went in the 7th round, second running back on his team. Done for the year potentially with an ACL injury. Marcus Peters, the cornerback for the Ravens, also potentially suffered a season-ending knee injury. So that breaking news definitely affects one of the teams moving forward. So with that said, let's go ahead and hop right into our show. Week 1, we had our draft, and our 8 teams came away. These are the report cards for all 8 teams. Mitten Wolverines is Jonathan. Hakushin Overlords is Hunter. And Steel Curtain Mike. All 3 got C's. Evil Motherfuckers, which is Nick or Road Rash, he got a B-. His draft was auto-picked by a couple of us. Two Gourd Pumpkin Patch, that is Jordan. Goku Sun Hunter, they both got B's. And then we get into the interesting part. The top 2 drafts supposedly were the Proud Americans. That's me. I got a B+, and Dave's got this, which is of course Dave. He got an A-. However, it was slightly skewed because I'm with my last pick not to draft a kicker. I drafted Trade Bait, and it kind of affected my grade. They ultimately came away thinking that Hunter's Goku-Sun team was going to score the most points for the year. But when we broke it all down, if you actually add in the kicker that I was going to put onto my team, I probably was estimated to score the most points and would have at least got an A- with Dave, if not potentially got ahead of him. But we'll give the best draft to Dave, best draft grade to Dave. Wow. And projected team to score the most points was going to Goku-Sun. However, again, skewed by the 150 or so points they didn't estimate I'd get from a kicker. All in all the teams were within 150 points of each other. Really not bad, and there's some good teams. And with being a 8-team league, there's more free agents out there. We kept the roster spots down, so there's always going to be choices that you have to make, and players out there available, including the backup for Gus Edwards, who is the backup. You get it. Everybody's going down. We're done here. I don't want to keep piling it on to Mike, but that's your idea of the drafts. Let's go. I think it'll show us. Yes. The best pick for Jonathan was Patrick Mahomes. Or not best pick. That's the top 3 players. Mahomes, Lamb, Gronkowski. His best pick was Tyler Lockett in the 10th round. His reach was Rob Gronkowski in the 3rd. They have the toughest strength of schedule. Jonathan's team does. The Hakushin Overlords, Hunter, Tom Brady, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Hopkins. His best pick was Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 4th round, and his going out on a limb pick was the craziest pick I think I've ever seen. He's a new player. We gave him some advice, but he chose to take Tom Brady with the first overall pick in the draft. But hey, you got it. So that's his reach. You must have stepped away from the draft, right? It had to be an auto pick. That's the only explanation for the decision to draft Brady in the 1st round, about 7 rounds earlier than his ADP of 65. Projected to score 361 points, though. He's going to do pretty well. He's got the oldest group in the league. He drafted players with about 6.3 years of experience. And in week 12, he's got some trouble with 3 players on a bye. Now we get to Mike. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf. He drafted big on wide receivers. Got 3 of the top 5 receivers off the board, I believe. Biggest mover. They think that Gus Edwards... regression candidate, Josh Jacobs. Better late than never. You were the last manager to select a quarterback with Justin Herbert, 45th overall. Became the 8th starting quarterback in our league. And you have the youngest group overall. You drafted Freiermuth, Waddle, and Pitts. 3 of the... I think there were only 9 rookies drafted overall in the entire league, and you took 3 of them. So let's see how that goes. I don't think I think 2 of those players are already off your team. So next was Nick. The evil motherfuckers. Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Calvin Ridley. His biggest steal, Robbie Anderson. That was in the 14th round, 3rd pick. And his reach was Joe Burrow, but it was an auto pick, so Burrow was selected as a position of need as quarterbacks were flying off the board. 2 Gourd Pumpkin Patch. Now we're getting into the top tier of teams. Again, not much of a difference between what's projected between the bottom team and the top team. Anything can happen, but on paper, this is the beginning of the Tier A teams. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Travis Kelce to the 2 Gourd Pumpkin Patch. That's Jordan's team. He turned the 5th overall pick into a projected 3rd place finish in the Stadium Fantasy Football League. They're projected to put up a lot of points, 11-4 record. Best pick, Kelce. Stretch pick, Pittman Jr. in the 10th round. I don't really think that's much of a stretch, but they didn't think that Pittman was going to go drafted in our 15-round draft, so I think he'll do just fine. You took charge of the tight end position, drafting Travis Kelce at 21 overall, right before I was going to take him at 23. That was the first big screw job of the draft. But you have the second half of your schedule is the most difficult, and you have you got Mark Andrews, man. Mark Andrews and Kelce. You're set at tight end. No concerns there. Goku-san, that is Hunter, Christian McCaffrey, Stephon Diggs, Lamar Jackson. Led by an impressive group of running backs, Goku-san are built to win. Projected record of 11-4. Projected to finish 2nd or 3rd place, depending on how you look at it. Again, we'll get to it. Most likely to improve, Christian McCaffrey. His reach was Brandon Cooks. He got him in the 11th round. He was projected to go in the 14th. Goku-san faces a rough task in Week 7 when he's got 3 players and a defense on a bye. I expect moves to be made unless he feels real strong with his bench. And he might have reason to, because he's got a fairly old squad with 5.4 years of average experience. That means he's probably got a lot of players who are starters. Goku-san chose wide receiver Cooper Kupp with the 50th pick overall as a flex player on his team. Who cares? That's enough of Goku-san. Moving on to the Proud Americans. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson. Led by a pair of Vikings. They've got a great shot at playoffs. This is where it gets skewed. The Americans turned the number 7 overall pick into a projected 4th place finish. After picking up multiple Vikings, Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson early, they are predicted to score a total of 21-55 based on the current roster, which will result in a 7-8 record. However, They didn't calculate points for a kicker because I don't have one on my roster at the time of the draft. I didn't. And we estimated that's about 150 points. So you add that 150 points, I'm over 3,000. That puts me in first place, barely losing a game. So I wish I had drafted a kicker instead of Mac Jones with my last pick, because I've already cut his ass. So if I'd have done that, we'd have got completely accurate grades, I think. But other than that, that's kind of why I kept saying I'm projected to finish in the top 2 or 3 as well as Dave, Goku-san, and even Tugord. And the other 4, the tier 2 players, teams, aren't too far behind. My best pick, Joe Mixon. What an early round value for the Americans, who picked up Mixon at 39 overall, 2 rounds later than his ADP of 22. Coming off, who cares? He's my running back 3. He's starting in my WRT position. My reach was Jalen Hurts. I understand that. I got him at 58, way 20 slots ahead of time. But he wouldn't have been there 20 slots. That's 2.5 rounds later. He would not have been there for me. So my choice to get Jalen Hurts early was a necessity. Strength of schedule ranked the second most difficult according to projected records. We have one of the most challenging schedules. This is where it got messed up. Whatever they said planning into the draft, that we put together a weak group of top-line players and a good bench. But if you'd taken that bench player I got that was extra, his points away, and you give him to a kicker that would have started, again, it would have evened out. I would have had a really good starting roster and a decent bench. So yeah, there we go. Now one more team. Dave's got this. He had a nice draft. Kamara, Allen, Chubb. Love it. Led by a terrific backfield. Dave's got this. Could be the team to beat. After receiving an advantageous draft slot number 3 overall, he had an excellent performance with Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb expected to combine for the second highest point total of running back groups in the league. Dave's got this. Are projected to finish first in the Stadium Fantasy Football with a mark of 12-3 and 2,209 points. Best pick, Saquon Barkley. He got him number 30 overall. He was expected to go number 10 on the draft board. What a steal. The reach pick was Josh Allen. He took him way early. I believe it was his 3rd round pick. But he got a quarterback he liked. He saw it. And with Brady going first and Mahomes going at the end of the 1st round, it was quite clear that people were going to start to feel a run on quarterbacks, just like there was a run on tight ends just minutes later. With Robert Tonyan, 94 overall, you became the last manager to draft a tight end, so interesting there. And despite wide receiver and tight end slots in the 4th round, you chose Saquon Barkley, which was probably a good choice. And finally, you have the easiest strength of schedule in the league, which doesn't bode well for us teams when he's got a good team and the easiest strength of schedule. However, there's already been some moves before tonight's game, so let's go ahead and jump into those. The most active team was me. Mike also dropped Pat Freiermuth and picked up Le'Veon Bell, who was signed by Baltimore and is now, assuming he's healthy and he can pick up the offense, he is now, I would imagine, projected to take on the workload. I would imagine that they're going to try and sign another running back, maybe somebody they just recently brought in. But it's a rough situation for you if you're a Baltimore fan. Sorry, I need a drink. It's a rough situation for you if you're a Baltimore fan. They got injuries left and right. Also, Mike picked up the best free agent remaining after the draft. He was the 25th best player on the board, and he somehow went undrafted through 15 rounds. Keenan Allen was picked up very first by Steel Curtain, and he dropped Jalen Waddle. So 2 of the 3 rookies drafted by Mike were dropped right away. Me, I dropped Mac Jones to pick up Cam Akers backup and likely starter in Los Angeles, Darrell Henderson Jr. But I wouldn't have needed to do that if I'd have just drafted a kicker. I could have dropped Damian Harris, who was my pick right before Mac Jones, 14th round. I chose not to go with Damian Harris when I picked up Darrell Henderson, And then I got my kicker, third best kicker on the board, Matt Gay, went undrafted. I got him. And since then, Hakushin Overlords dropped Ty Montgomery and picked up wide receiver Deebo Samuel. And I made 2 more moves. Jamar Chase dropped for Raheem Mostert, and I dropped Brandon Ayuk for Tyrell Williams. So, let's go ahead and get into the matchups and see where... Did it just disappear? I will refresh it. I guess they wanted to disappear. I'm going to have to go into them separately now. That sucks. I had them all set out for you. I didn't want you to see them all. All right. The first matchup is going to be Mike at Steel Curtain versus Jonathan, the Mitten Wolverines. Jonathan is currently projected to win 113.55 to 109.14. He is a 56% favorite to win. Both starting lineups are in and set. Jonathan has players tonight in the game. And your starting lineups look like this. For Jonathan's Mitten Wolverines, starting at quarterback with a 3-point favorite, Patrick Mahomes over Justin Herbert. Wide receiver 1 goes to Steel Curtain, Devontae Adams over Lamb. Wide receiver 2, Tyreek Hill over Juju Smith-Schuster. Gus Edwards now is going to get swapped out, so I expect the points to go up. What options does Mike have currently? We'll show the bench players. Currently, he has Le'Veon Bell to take his place, Josh Jacobs, or Ronald Jones II. So he does have options. None of them, however, currently projected to put up what Gus Edwards was projected to put up prior to the injury he suffered today. But currently, until that happens, it goes to DeAndre Swift over on Jonathan's side. However, he does have options that will help him out. Running back 2, Montgomery over Connor goes to Jonathan. Kyle Pitts over Gronkowski with projected 11 to 8 points. In the flex wide receiver position, running back, tight end position, they both are starting wide receivers. DK Metcalf, 15 points, edges out Tyler Lockett for Steel Curtain. They got about the same score, Younghoe Koo and Tyler Bass for kicker, and the defense goes to Tampa Bay over on Jonathan's side. So we don't have a full look at this because the Gus Edwards injury just happened, but it's approximately, let's estimate he's going to put in running back with 12 points. That'll flip everything about 7 or 8 points in Steel Curtain's favor. The next matchup, Hakushin Overlords of Dom going against evil motherfuckers from Road Rash. Yes, his name is Road Rash. He is a pro wrestler, and his team is apparently evil motherfuckers. So, starters are all in. All of them are projected to play. And a projected score of 126 to 122 in favor of the evil mother effers. A 54% favorite to win. He has Russell Wilson over Brady. DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley projected to do just about the same. Claypool in the wide receiver 2 slot over Paris Campbell for Road Rash. Ezekiel Elliott for Road Rash in the 1 position over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Austin Eckler and Jonathan Taylor. The edge goes to Jonathan Taylor for Dom. Tight end position, slight edge to Dom with Hawkinson over Dallas Goedert. The flex position goes to A.J. Brown, big time over Devontae Smith by 4 points. They roughly the same with the kickers, Tucker and Butker. And the defense edge goes to the Rams for Dominic. Once again, equaling up to a projected 4-point win for Road Rash. Now we get into our co-main events for the week. We have Two Gourd Pumpkin Patch of Jordan versus Goku-san. That is Hunter. With a projected 136 to 132 score. 53% favorite to win Goku-san. He is starting Lamar Jackson, who is just about a 1-point underdog to Kyler Murray in the position, who Two Gourd Pumpkin Patch starts. Wide receiver 1 goes to Stephon Diggs for Goku. Wide receiver 2 is pretty much tied. They're starting Cooper Kupp and Amari Cooper, respectfully. The running back 1 position massively going to Christian McCaffrey. 23 points over 18 for Aaron Jones. Running back 2, however, goes to Two Gourd Pumpkin Patch. Najee Harris making his NFL regular season debut for Pittsburgh. 15 points they're projecting him to get. The tight end spot going to Travis Kelce, of course, the best tight end in the league. He is going against potentially the second best tight end in the league, George Kittle, but Travis Kelce edges him out on points. And in the flex position, starting a running back is Two Gourd because he drafted a lot of them. He's got Chris Carson and Chris Godwin for Goku-san. A wide receiver starts on the other side. Excuse me, guys. On the other side. They both roughly get about the same amount of points, 14.5 to 15. The kicker goes to Ryan Suckup over on Two Gourd. And the defense goes to Buffalo over on Goku-san. With, again, a projected total of 136 to 132, Goku-san and Hunter look to potentially edge out Two Gourd Pumpkin Patch and get a 1-0 record to start the week. Let's look at their bench players in case something does happen. Over on Two Gourd, Michael Pittman Jr. is an option. Mark Andrews at tight end. He still has Kareem Hunt, Antonio Brown, Mike Williams, Trey Sermon. We got Hunter Henry, Baker Mayfield, Brandon Cooks, Melvin Gordon. So many players on both sides that they can go to. And that's... I got a nap. I missed him. And the co-main event of the week. Dave's Got This versus the Proud Americans. 133 to 131. A 52% favorite is Daryl over Dave. Starting in the QB position, Dave gets the slight edge with Josh Allen over Aaron Rodgers by 2 points. Wide receiver 1 goes to Justin Jefferson over Terry McLaurin. Wide receiver 2 to Julio Jones over Jerry Jeudy. That's Dave. The running back position, number 1 is running back 1 is pretty much a tie between Kamara and Dalvin Cook on Daryl's side. The Americans' second running back is Derrick Henry, a favorite over Nick Chubb. The tight end position going to Darren Waller as a favorite by about 4 points. 3 points, 3.5. Not even. Joe Mixon versus Robert Woods, a running back versus a receiver in the flex position. That edge goes to Daryl with Mixon. The kickers are roughly the same. Matt Gay, Greg Zuerlein. And the defense edge goes over to Dave. San Francisco over Washington. Let's look at their benches. Over on Dave's side, we have Saquon Barkley, Allen Robinson II, Mike Evans, Kenny Golladay, Antonio Gibson, and Myles Gaskin. A lot of points over here. On Daryl's side, we have Mike Davis, Jalen Hurts, Logan Thomas, Darrell Henderson Jr., Raheem Mostert, and Tyrell Williams. A lot of points over here. Once again, projected to win by 2 points, 52% favorite. The Americans over Dave's Got This. There are your 4 matchups once again heading into week 1. A lot is going to, we're going to find out a lot, and we're going to learn a lot about each team's ability to hang in there when they suffer catastrophic injuries like this. with Gus Edwards gone. Luckily, Mike beat me by about 15 minutes in signing Le'Veon Bell. So he's got that in his back pocket already. He can panic a little, but I think you got it under wraps, my guy. With that being said, we've covered the draft. We've covered our teams. And now we've previewed it. And now all we've got left to do is find out what happens tonight when the Cowboys take on the Buccaneers. And all throughout the weekend, as Week 1 wraps up on September 13th, with what should be Monday Night Football. Yes, sir and ma'am. Monday Night Football on the 13th. We'll wrap up Week 1. We'll make some free agent moves, some trades, whatever gets done over Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. And we will see you guys back here 4 p.m. next Thursday to cover Week 2 of the Stadium Fantasy Football League. But next time we'll zoom in or bring in a guest or two, some of the managers from the league, and we will discuss with them what happened over the weekend, if there's any interesting stories, crazy losses, bad beats, big come from behind wins, all the drama right here in the stadium. We'll see you next time, you guys. We hope you have an